today I'll be going over my 3.18 RF Autobomber / Ignite Flameblast Elementalist project. The Elementalist is one of the most well-rounded Ascendency in Path of Exile that has a tool for every situation. The Elementalist is especially good at providing copious amount of damage and area effect, thus making weak underused skills such as Flameblast viable in Juice Tier 16. Being completely focused on area effect, the size of our RF, chain explosions, and Vow Flameblast gives most mobs at the edge of the screen in Tier 16 very to little chance to even react. The Elementalist unquestionably has the best collection of tools to provide the most visually stunning experience for players such as myself, because with Shaper of Flames, we don't have to invest skill points into Ignite chance or physical to fire nodes, but rather allocate more area of effect. Unfortunately, this build cannot do Simulacrum 24 or higher. It is extremely unreliable bossing due to cast speed limitations, low armor, net regen, max res, uncapped block chance, and most of all just the playstyle itself, where you have to stay stationary. And just to be clear, this build cannot do uber bosses. Someone in the comment section asked, why not use Fire Trap? My answer was because Flameblast is fun and holds a special place for me in PoE since it was the first skill that I played with. Alright, so we're going to start off talking about our gear. Our main hand weapon is a Void Scepter with the implicit 40% increased elemental damage. We harvest crafted quality only grants area effect, and it has +1 level of all spell skill gems, +1 to level of all fire skill gems. Grants level 20 aspect of the spider skill. Can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, which includes fire damage over time multiplier and increased fire damage / chance to ignite. Now as for our helmet, we prefer to go with high armor base such as Royal Bergonet. Try to get a enchant such as Determination has 30% increased mana reservation efficiency, or Hair of Ash, and possibly Malevolence. The stats and mods on this helmet are as follows. Socketed gems are supported by Amulet. Socketed gems deal 30% more elemental damage. High life rolls, some resist, and self-craft +1 level of all socketed AoE gems and increased area effect. The shield is pretty standard for RF builds because we're just looking for 3% to maximum fire resist, and for this build we're heavily focused on raw block, so it would be nice if you guys could get chance to block spell damage, chance to block attack damage with a decent high life roll, and preferably increase maximum life from just slamming a hunter exalted orb. And instead of this titanium spirit shield, you will want a armor based shield, but this is what I have. As for our amulet, we are looking for Jade Amulet because our tree only has 1 node with 10 dexterity. So we'll go with Jade, and we're going to anoint Charisma to help with our mana reservation efficiency. The main focus of this amulet is to have +1 to level of all skill gems, +1 level of all fire skill gems, with a bunch of hybrid resist that includes chaos, and then it's gonna be based on luck what you get, but preferably you will want Purity of Fire, has mana reservation efficiency, or Determination. More on this later during the crafting session. Now for the rings, we chose to go with dual vermilion rings because our passive tree lacks a lot of life nodes. So anyways, this first ring, we want cursed enemies with flammability on hit, and you would want the higher tier, which is 32% increased area effect, and it just has high resist, some life, and cast speed. If you don't get cast speed, don't stress too much, resist is just fine. The second ring, you would want a tier 1 dexterity roll, and then you would just want some resist, and that's it. Once we have enough currency to craft our own chest, that's where our damage starts to be more consistent. So we chose to go with a sacrificial garb to give us a +1 level of all of Vow skill gems. This is gonna help boost our Vow Righteous Fire and Vow Flameblast. Essentially, this chest gives you Frenzy Charge on hit, chance to apply additional curse, and spell critical strike chance to proc Elemental Overload more often. And it has increased maximum life with crafted maximum life. As for our glove slot, we are using the unique called Ascendency Gentle's Touch. You would want a Corrupted Implicit, which includes maximum life, and if you can, get it with cast speed. If not, don't stress too much about it. As for the belt slot, we are using a Hunter Influence Stygian Vise with high flat life, % increased maximum life, a bunch of resistance, and then what we socket inside is an Abyssal Jewel with dexterity, life, and resist. If you can, get one with Corrupted Blood immunity. So for boots, what you're gonna want is Searing Exarch and Eater World Influence on your implicit that grants maximum fire resistance, increased life regeneration rate, and you just want high resistance, good movement speed, life regeneration, and maximum life. If you have a extra open prefix, just craft cannot be frozen. Alright, so for flask, we are using a Divine Life Flask because we have pretty poor life regen and we do not have a Corrupted Blood Jewel, at least for my build. We're using a Dying Sun Ruby Flask to take less fire damage and increase area of effect. You could use a rare Granite Flask, but I chose to go with a Rumi's Concoction because it increased block chance for attack and spell. And then for our Quicksilver, I highly suggest you guys use one with Cursed Immunity or Reduced Curse Effect. Other than that, it's up to you. Our last flask, once you have enough currency, just go ahead and buy a Bald of Faith, as it helps a lot with our life regeneration and help increase damage for map bosses. As for the Pantheon, this is what I chose to go with. So Arakali to have reduced damage taken from damage over time. It really does help with your net life regen once Righteous Fire is burning away your health pool. And it's very nice to have chaos resistance against damage over time, such as ground degen or boss fights. And then lastly, I chose to go with Soul of Ralakesh because I noticed that this build is very vulnerable to bleed damage, and I was too cheap to go on and buy a Corrupted Blood Jewel. So it's nice to have something to prevent instant death from Corrupted Blood. Alright, so for our Ascendency, it is very important that you pick Shaper of Flames. As it states, all damage can ignite. And essentially what that means is you spend significantly less passive tree points to make Chain Explosion work. And here's the reason why. If you look on the tree, you're gonna have to travel up here and pick some points here just for a chance to ignite. And these alone do not add up to close to 100. Furthermore, if you look at your gloves, where your source of explosion comes from, it deals physical damage when monsters explode. So if you want to spread your ignite and cause chain explosions, that physical damage has to somehow ignite. To do so, you have to invest in points such as Avatar of Fire and mastery nodes such as 40% of physical damage converted to fire damage. Okay, so for our large cluster, we just want one with Burning Bright. And I'm gonna go over why you don't need something expensive as this, where it has Prismatic Heart and Widespread Destruction. First reason is you do not have enough points to fill these out, and the damage difference just by having these small nodes instead of this is negligible. So get something like this. Burning Bright, done. Make sure it's 8 passive skills. Moving forward to our medium cluster, it is mandatory that you run one with Fan of Flames to make Ignite globally spread. And you can use a combination of Flow of Life with it or Burning Bright, whichever is fine. Most of your medium clusters should have Burning Bright, and I highly suggest one with Wrapped in Flames so that you cannot be chilled while Righteous Fire is on. As for the small clusters, you want one with Enduring Composure, because I find that having the extra armor and endurance charge really helps with survivability. And then one small cluster that grants mana reservation for Malevolence. It also helps with chaos resistance. Once you have enough passive skill tree points, you could socket a Watcher's Eye that grants additional block chance while affected by determination, and preferably damage over time multiplier with Malevolence. We are running 2 Fractured Jewels with maximum life, and preferably fire damage, burning damage, and fire damage multiplier. You could easily harvest craft these, spamming Reforged Fire. We decided to pick up Elemental Overload because it's a huge chunk of damage for our Flameblast. I found that this mastery goes a long way for this build because we're so low on life regen. When you take 10% less damage taken from damage over time, it basically means our net regen is higher when our Righteous Fire burns our health. Also, when you do boss fight or just map mods with ground regen, it helps a lot. Once you have enough currency, go ahead and buy Unnatural Instinct later down the road, since it increases area effect and cast speed for our Flameblast. It gives us a healthy amount of life regen, and I believe these nodes help with scaling the exploding damage. Lastly, I decided to travel down south of the tree to get Unwavering Stance because this build dies a lot from being stunned. And with that said, we're just trying to grab something near here that helps with our net life regen, since we barely have any life regeneration on this tree. And to offset that, we just increase our max res. So here's the MTX related to this build. Our Scepter is able to use Colossus Machete skin, Inferno Weapon effect, Wasteland Horns, Fire Horns, Dayside Flame Helmet, Dragon Hunter Wings, Pandemonium Body Armor, Dragon Hunter Apparition effect, Sunrise Shield, Forge Weapon effect, Vulcan Thunderstrike Gloves, Arch Nemesis Prismatic Character effect, Sharon's Tome, Ring of the Black Star, Sunrise Footprints effect, Soulkeeper, Vizier Boots, Forged Lion Pet, Fire Lion Pet, Celestial Dying Sun, Searing Quicksilver Flask, Apostate's Bottle of Faith, Soulkeeper Demigod Apparition Portal effect, Celestial Righteous Fire effect, Celestial Wave of Conviction effect, Celestial Flameblast effect, and our Herald Ash uses Despair Herald effect, Sunrise Aura effect, Lich Aura effect, Celestial Tempest Shield effect, Lava Aura effect, and that's it. Let's craft a weapon first. One-handed weapons, scepter. Just looking for something simple with 40% increased elemental damage, so Opal Void Scepter is fine. Let's go with Void. So it's gonna be a non-influence item. We're focusing on recombinators, so yeah. Let's go level 77. I don't think it really matters. So let's say you go on the market and you buy a +1 all skill gems, all spell skill gems. Alright, and it's gonna have a bunch of trash mods. All spell skill gems. Alright, so let's say you go on the market, you buy this for 2x, and this is the only thing you care about. I'm gonna show you how to clean this up and make your endgame scepter. You're gonna go to your craft and cannot roll caster. Craft this on, and then start spamming a null orbs to remove everything except for +1 to level all spell skill gems. If it removes the craft mod, simply add it again and repeat the process. And from there, you remove that. There you have it. A clean +1 scepter. Alright. So we are going to export this and make our second scepter. Vendor recipe 40 quality fire skill gems, and you get a +1 all fire skill gems. However, what you need to do before you recombinate, and this is very important, is it has to be a rare scepter, because if it's a magic scepter and you recombinate, it only keeps one prefix, and a magic item is limited to one prefix, one suffix. So what you do is you regal and you do the same process as I shown you before. Cannot roll caster. Add that, annul, remove. From there, you got 2 scepter with +1 fire and all spell skill gems. So what you want to do is recombinate. Alright, so as you can see, if it's successfully recombinate and you have a useless suffix, same process. It's gonna be safe. It removes anything that's not caster related. Remove. Multi-mod. Add fire. You're gonna want fire damage over time multiplier, craft, and you're gonna want this one right here. Increase fire damage and chance to ignite. Lastly, on your scepter, all you're gonna do is beastcraft aspect of the spider. you go. That's your endgame scepter. Alright, so for our helmet, the base has to be armor. Influence has to be elder. Proceed. I don't think the level really matters, so just go with 85, 84. And you want to essence spam using horror until you hit emulate. You see this right here? 20, level 20 emulate, and it has more elemental damage. So let's say you have open suffix, alright, and you want to add a elemental resist. What you want to do is suffix cannot be changed, and then you go to your harvest, reforge. Let's do lightning, and based on your luck, it's going to be whatever tier. You cannot rinse and repeat this process. Okay, so once you have the resist, what you want to do is suffix cannot be changed again. Unveil. Now you have two options. Either it gives you about 60 life, or you pick this up, which is what you would want. +2 level of all soccer AoE gems and increase area effect. We'll go with that. Remove that. Craft life. And your helmet is done. So let's craft amulet. Go to jewelry, amulet. We're looking for either jade or citron. Let's go with jade. Let's go with level 80. So you want to buy on the market something that has level of all skill gems. Let's say it came on the market like this with a bunch of random suffix. Let's say you don't want any of these suffix. What you want to do is, because you have a free prefix cannot be changed. So let's say you have a free prefix and a free suffix, and you don't want any of these suffix. Craft prefix cannot be changed. Apply a scour. And that's one way to make it as clean as possible before we recombinate for all fire. Alright, so if it's full like this, go to your harvest. Reforge, keeping prefix. Alright, so if you want to clean it, it's going to be the same process. Prefix cannot be changed. Scour. So what you want to do from this point on is work on your suffix. So what I did was prefix cannot be changed. And hopefully your remove prefix cannot be changed. Alright, so when you Aisling unveil, these are your two options that are most valuable for this build. More dex or more resist. I'm gonna go with resist. If you find that you're starving on more dex, go with dex. Alright, so once you're done with that, here's the part that's the gamble. It's gonna be based on luck purely. You're gonna slam it with a Warlord Exalted Orb, and you're gonna want Purity of Fire or Determination, Mana Reservation. In this place we got Strength, but you will want something like this. From there you craft either Dex or more resist. I'm gonna craft more resist. And there's your endgame amulet. Strength shield. Pinnacle tower shield for more life and armor. Let's go with level 85. So let's say we have max res, life, block, alright, let's say these are the 3 stats you look for on the market, alright? Then you want to craft chance to block spell. And the last part you want to do is just simply slam a Hunter's Orb for max life. And there you have it, that's your end game shield. Once you have it, once you buy a Fractured Life Jewel on the market, let's just stick with Crimson Jewel, go to Harvest, Reforge, Fire. And you're basically going to spam until you get burning damage and fire dot multi. So just buy and make 2 of these and you're good to go. One way to have this that involves less gambling. Alright, so what I did was I went to Harvest and I was trying to work on this build. I simply just keep reforging until I hit a decent flat life roll and percent life. So let's say you hit this high life roll and percent life. Let's say all your suffix is shit. What you want to do is prefix cannot be changed. Go to your Harvest, Reforge Chaos. And let's say you just had this, alright? Let's just say you have only 1 resist. Do this again, prefix cannot be changed. Go to Aisling, and you're gonna try to get more resist. Alright, so there you go. From this point on, you craft your own resist. There you go, that's your end game build right there. Alright, so for rings, we're gonna stick with Vermilion rings. And our first ring has to have Warlord influence. Let's do 85. All I did was I simply went to Reforge Caster and Harvest every chance I got. And what Caster Reforge does is help you get flammability. So let's just say you have something like this. It's very low life roll, but you've hit some useful mods such as all elemental resist and cast speed. What you want to do is suffix cannot be changed. And then from there, hit it with a Veil Orb. And you're going to look for some life. So once you're here, block something useless. So you want to block this. Unveil. And you're going to want life. So from there, craft anything useful. Let's add some more life regen and max mana. There you go. Your first ring is done. So for the second ring, it's not going to be influenced. You're just going to spam a bunch of Sorrow Essence. And you're looking for T1 Dex, a lot of resist, and high life. So as you can see, we have 2 resistance, tier 1 Dex, and life roll. Go in, keep that. This ring is done. Okay, so for boots, I generally spam an essence that corresponds to the resist I'm lacking. So let's just say we go with Hatred for cold res. You just keep spamming until you get something useful just for suffix. Forget about the prefix. So let's just say you have shit prefix and you have the res you need and some useful res. You just keep spamming until you get life regen. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. Let's say you hit tier 1 life regeneration, useful resistance, and the resistance that you needed. All your prefixes are shit. What you do from there is craft suffix and have a change. You see how you have a bunch of trash prefix mods? Scour it. Suffix can never change again. Alright, go to your Aisling. Craft life. Unveil. And what you want is movement speed. Unfortunately, we didn't hit something with onslaught or cannot be chilled. So let's try again. I would keep this. Chance to gain onslaught and 30 movement speed with life. Alright. We're going with the sacrificial garb. And let's say it's a level 100 sacrificial garb. We're gonna do hunter base. And you simply go to your harvest, reforge caster. You're gonna look for 2 mods when you slam it with reforge caster. Additional curse and spell crit, such as you saw right here. Okay, so now that we have the 2 caster mods from reforging using harvest, you want to elevate the spell critical strike chance. And there you have it. We have one chest piece done. On the other chest, it could be anything. You want Redeemer of 85. So on the other chest piece where it doesn't really matter what base it's on because you're gonna awaken orbit, you're just gonna transmute and alterate spam until you hit frenzy. Alright, so from there we are going to awaken an orb. And what you're gonna get is elevated spell critical strike chance and 10 chance to gain frenzy charge on hit. Most of the time you're gonna get something useless, suffix, an useless suffix, but let's say you're lucky and you have a free suffix. What you do is suffix can never change. Go to your harvest, reforge, whichever element you need. Let's go with chaos. I got chaos resistance, and from there, what you want to do is, let's say you have a free prefix and a bunch of trash prefix. Prefix can be changed. Scour. Sorry. So from there, suffix cannot be changed. Go to your harvest, reforge caster, and now you can apply additional curse. From that point on, craft suffix cannot be changed again. Go to your Aisling, and this is a 50-50. See, so it removes suffix cannot be changed. Unveil. You have 2 options. You either go with chance to block attack damage or increase maximum life. I think this is overlooked. This is really good, but this is also a solid option for Righteous Fire, more life. So from there, craft life. And there you go. Your endgame chest is done.